What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Daniel's Dimension, and I'm going to be reviewing Terrifier 2. This movie, okay, listen. If you are somebody that cannot handle blood or gore or intense violence, do not go see this movie. Don't go see this movie, dude, because there has been a lot of stories and news articles going around the internet of how people have fainted, passed out, cried, vomited in theaters when going to see this movie. And the main reason for that is, honestly, this movie is more gross than scary. Like, it has some scary moments, but this movie is just more disgusting than terrifying. Like, when you see a lot of blood and gore and you watch too much, it comes to a point where your brain is like, okay, that's enough. I don't really want to see any more of this. And that's what Terrifier 2 brings on. So, this movie's story, if you don't know about this movie series, it's basically a slasher horror type film. It's about a clown named Art the Clown that goes around killing people on Halloween. The first movie, he was stalking a group of girls, and in the second one, he's stalking another girl and her little brother. And this is one of those sick gore porn fanatic movies, and it's definitely not for everyone. Definitely not for kids. Definitely not for very sensitive people that have weak stomachs. Yeah, the movie's just brutal, man. The beginning of the movie opens with him bludgeoning a man to death. He takes a hammer and just bashes his skull, and you see his blood splatter everywhere. And this movie just keeps getting worse and worse. If you think that's the worst kill, oh, you're absolutely wrong. So he goes around to so the story doesn't really make much sense to me as far as with the characters. So you got the main girl, her name is Sienna, and her father has a book where she's in it, and there's like this prophecy type thing where she's wearing like an angel outfit and she's supposed to be destined to kill Art the Clown. And I didn't even understand how her dad even came up with all this. Like, that whole like chosen one prophecy thing made no sense. But it's a slasher. People don't go into slashers to care about the story or the writing. They want to come into these movies to watch the most disgusting, brutal ways that somebody can die. And that's what you get, okay? There's that bedroom scene. Oh, that's the worst scene. The bedroom scene. So there's a home invasion scene, okay? It's already terrifying, but he breaks into this girl's house, slashes out her eye. I'm not making this up. He slashes her eye, and then he takes a pair of fucking scissors and cuts off her scalp and rips it off. And then he keeps stabbing her and slashing her over and over again. He breaks off her arm, breaks her hand, and then keeps stabbing her multiple times and then leaves. And she's just in so much pain and crying. And like, yo, that girl did not deserve that, dude. Like, this movie really does a good job at making you feel bad for the characters. And just when you think the clown is gone, he comes back with a bottle of fucking bleach and dumps it all over her and continues to mutilate her. And like, this movie is just fucking gross, dude. And then, and what's crazy about this clown is that he has multiple weapons. Okay, he's got like this double barrel shotgun that he blasts this lady's face off, and then he has a knife too. He stabs a guy's dick, and then he has like this little container of acid and he splashes it all over a girl's face, and it's fucking melting and dripping everywhere, and the flesh is peeling. It's so disgusting. Like, this movie, okay, it does a good job at making people feel uncomfortable. Okay, like I said earlier, it's a very disgusting, bloody type of movie, and it does a good job at making the viewer feel like they don't want to go see this anymore. Okay, I don't even know if I would ever see this movie again. It's just too much to handle. I can definitely understand why people were fainting and passing out in theaters. So yeah, you got just the brutal kills. You got the guy that gets stabbed in the head. He goes to that Halloween store and just cuts that guy's head off. Like, he bashes his skull in with a knife, a butcher knife, and then cuts his head off. And then he also has like that chain with like the blades and whips on it, and he slashes and tortures that little kid. Like, this movie is just so like fucked up, dude. And the climax, the final scene where the girl is beating the shit out of Art the Clown, she takes a sword and she cuts his head off, and it's just leaking everywhere, all the blood. And yeah, and the ending made no sense because there's this little demon girl that looks like Art the Clown. I don't even know if that's his daughter or not, or like if he was hallucinating that. But this little girl comes and picks up the head and then goes away. And then at the very end, you see the crazy girl from the first movie in the asylum carrying Art the Clown's head while she's in the cell. And yeah, this movie is just gross. It's more like something that sick people would enjoy. Okay, like I'm not a bitch when it comes to blood and gore. Like I can handle some of it, but when it's just too much over and over again, I'm like, okay, I this is just nasty. I don't want to see this anymore. It's kind of like A Thousand Ways to Die. It's kind of like one of those like old early 2000s movies like Saw. um, oh, it's also like the Suicide Squad where there's just a lot of blood and gore every once in a while, and yeah, and not only is it just the blood, but also like it's just gross too with other things that don't even involve deaths, like the little kid eating the cereal with the blades and roaches, and then you got the demon clown girl that takes a shit on the floor. Like this movie is gross, dude, and more people pass out and faint watching this movie. It's honestly just more gross than terrifying. That's how I would describe this movie. Terrifier, yeah. And to think that the director is going to make a sequel, there's going to be a Terrifier 3. So imagine how worse that one is going to be. Like, I can't even imagine, dude. Like, overall, my thoughts on this movie, I think it's good. Like, it's not for everybody. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I enjoy watching people die or get tortured or any way. Like, that's just horrible. But this movie does a good job of feeling like an actual horror movie. And that's something you don't get every once in a while. I saw Barbarian. I thought Barbarian was a good movie too that I saw this year. Terrifier 2 is just a whole other level, man. And I don't know if I would recommend you to go see this unless you can handle all this type of violence, but that's just my opinion personally. So let me know what you guys think. If you guys are new to my channel, please subscribe, give this video a like, be sure to follow my Instagram, and happy Halloween.